I'm Tomoko. I just had my first baby. A dream came true. Thank you for coming into this world. For this little one, I feel like I could take on anything. That thought really sinks in. But then...
What? No way! He's only come by once since the baby was born?
Yeah, once. He barely stayed long enough to say hi.
Right? Feels like there's a whole story there.
It's so weird. Him not showing up at all. What's going on, Toru? He wanted this baby so badly. Looking back, Toru had been acting strange even before I found out I was pregnant. Suddenly, he started working late more often and coming home past midnight became the norm. Eating alone just feels so empty somehow. Toru seemed like a completely different person, his words and actions distant, probably because he was exhausted.
Do we really have to talk about this now?
No, it doesn't have to be now.
Good. Then save it for later. I don't have the energy to deal with pointless chatter right now.
Toru was always on edge, and his behavior toward me grew colder by the day. When I tried to talk to him, he'd glare at me like I was a nuisance and sometimes even click his tongue in irritation. I had no idea why he was acting this way, and it left me completely confused. When we first met, I thought it was fate. His warm smile and kind eyes made me fall in love at first sight. I was so happy when he confessed his feelings to me. After that, every day had my heart racing so much, I thought it might explode. Those were such happy times. Unable to bear eating alone anymore, I decided to go out for a meal one evening. Come to think of it, it's been ages since I last walked around the city at night. Since I work from home, I tend to stay cooped up in the house. A little outing like this isn't bad once in a while. Besides, Toru's going to be late again tonight anyway.
Hey, Tomoko.
Startled by the sudden call, I turned around to see Koichi and Haruna. Koichi is Toru's best friend. Haruna is his fiancé. The three of us were delighted to run into each other by chance.
Why didn't you join us for dinner, Tomoko?
Oh, I wouldn't want to intrude on your date.
Not at all. We'd be thrilled to have you.
Encouraged by their warm invitation, I decided to take them up on the offer. After all, it's been so long since I've had a meal with someone. At that time, I was so starved for conversation. It feels like forever since Toru and I last had a proper talk. Lately, it's like we're just roommates. No, scratch that. I'm treated worse than a roommate. Caught up in the lively atmosphere, I let my guard down and ended up venting about Toru. Hearing my story, Koichi and Haruna's expressions grew increasingly somber.
I can't believe things are this strained.
What's Toru even doing? I'll invite him out for drinks soon and try to get him to open up.
Sorry, I didn't mean to drag you into this.
Well, don't worry about it. I'm concerned about both of you.
Next time, let's all go out together and enjoy a great meal.
The other day, I ran into Tomoko. Huh? She said you've been pulling all-nighters at work and getting home super late every day. Well, yeah. She seemed pretty lonely, you know?
Listening to Koichi talk, Toru looked like he was lost in thought.
Take care of your wife once in a while, will ya? Yeah, you're right. If you keep ignoring her, you might end up divorced, you know? Yeah.
Koichi said Toru's reaction wasn't exactly enthusiastic, but still...
Tomoko, I'm sorry.
Huh?
Lately, I've been so on edge. I guess I've been too harsh on you.
Toru.
I'm sorry.
Toru lowered his head. I just stared at him, completely dumbfounded by how much he'd changed.
Koichi called me out and it made me think.
Oh, I see. Part of me wanted to say it's a little late, but I was honestly just happy to hear it. And so we decided to rebuild our relationship.
It's nice to get together as a group of 4 again. Yeah, it really is.
We owe it all to Koichi, don't we?
Looks like Koichi's meddling actually paid off for once.
Haruna's playful remark made all of us burst out laughing.
So, when are you two getting married?
Koichi and Haruna exchanged glances and smiled warmly.
Actually,
They shared the date of their wedding, and the meal became even livelier.
by the way, what was the name of that girl Koichi had a crush on back in college?
Toru suddenly said something like that, probably because the alcohol was being passed around and the tag came off. Toru, not in front of Haruna.
Oh, come on, it's ancient history. You know, the girl from the education department? Oh, Namie? Yeah, Namie. She kinda looked like Tomoko, didn't she?
What? None of us could figure out why Toru brought that up. Back then, we had no idea what was coming. Why did you say something like that?
Something like what?
Toru's tone suddenly turned sharp, completely different from before. The story about your college crush and how she looks like me.
It's true, so what's the problem?
Well, I don't think Haruna would feel great about it.
Was she? It's not like I said you and Koichi are up to something.
After saying that, for some reason, Toru gave a sly grin.
Unless you really are sneaking around with Koichi.
Why did Toru say that night? I couldn't figure it out, and the uncertainty was eating away at me. But with Toru constantly working late and coming home past midnight, I didn't have a chance to confront him about it. Hey, Toru, about your next day off.
Oh, sorry, I've got a business golf outing that day.
Oh, okay. Despite the lingering awkwardness between us, some unexpected news came our way.
Congratulations, you're 3 months pregnant.
That's right, I was pregnant. A baby. I wonder if Toru will be happy. I couldn't help but smile as the thought filled me with joy. While I was figuring out how to break the happy news to Toru, I felt truly happy. But as usual, Toru came home late, and when I excitedly told him about the pregnancy, his expression was icy. Toru said he wanted a child too. Isn't he happy? Toru's cold reaction left me completely crushed. Since I'd been working from home even before getting pregnant, my routine didn't change much. I guess it'll get harder to do work and chores once my belly gets bigger. I probably can't expect much help from Toru, so the future feels a little daunting. Coming! When I opened the door, there was Michie, my mother-in-law. Oh, mother. Both our families already knew about the pregnancy, and ever since, my mother-in-law had been visiting frequently. Grandchild fever before the baby's even born, huh? I'm grateful, I think.
Tomoko, aren't you going to eat more?
The smell of food is just...
Even if you're nauseous, you need to eat properly for the baby's sake.
Okay.
Tomoko, have you done the cleaning?
Oh, I'll do it after I finish this work task.
Work, huh?
One of the reasons my mother-in-law didn't like me was because I kept working. And since I got pregnant, that feeling only seemed to grow stronger. If she's going to come over every day, she could at least help out a little. I kept those thoughts to myself, putting on a fake smile as I dealt with my mother-in-law. I wanted to spend my pregnancy in peace. I even asked Toru to talk to her about cutting down on her visits.
Mom's just being nice by coming over. What's your problem?
That's all he said before dismissing me coldly. It was then I realized there was no point in saying anything. Even so, my belly grew steadily bigger. It hurts. One day, late in my pregnancy, I was hit by an intense pain in my stomach. Then, my water broke. Of course, on a day like this, my mother-in-law isn't here. Since I'd already prepared for the hospital, I called a cab and headed there alone. I feel so scared, Toru. I knew there was no point in trying to contact him during work. He'd just ignore me. Even so, no, I'm going to be a mom. I need to pull myself together. Giving myself a mental pep talk, I braced for what was to come alone. In the end, I gave birth all by myself. I sent Toru a message before heading to the hospital, but he left it on read. Toru and my mother-in-law didn't show up until the day after the baby was born. My mother-in-law in, buzzing with excitement, but Toru seemed grumpy for some reason.
Doesn't look like me at all.
Peering at the baby's face, Toru sulked.
You can't tell anything right after they're born.
Before I could even process Toru's attitude, my mother-in-law surprisingly scolded him for once. That one visit was the only time Toru came to the hospital. Even today, on the day of my discharge, he claimed he was too busy with work to come. This doesn't bode well for the future. I let out a sigh without meaning to. Even though I was on maternity leave, doing all the childcare completely alone was exhausting. I should be happy about the baby's arrival, but all I could think about was how overwhelming it was. If only Toru were a little more supportive. But my small wish fell on deaf ears, and I stumbled through my first attempt at parenting all by myself. As usual, my mother-in-law visited frequently. She'd play with my son Junya for a bit, but
Yomeko, Junya's fussing.
whenever Junya cried or got fussy, she'd immediately call for me. She never helped with diaper changes, preparing formula, or any other baby care. Didn't she raise Toru? How is she so clueless about babies? Far from being any help, my mother-in-law only added to my workload, asking for lunch and other things during her visits. Junya, look, flowers are blooming. Aren't they pretty? On my days off, I've been taking Junya out for walks in the park more often. Of course, Toru, being as unhelpful as ever, is nowhere to be found. It's just me and Junya, the two of us on these walks. Hey, can't you spend some time with Junya at least on your days off?
I'm tired. Just give me a break, will you?
Toru's response was completely devoid of any sense of responsibility as a father.
You just want to slack off and dump all of Junya's care on me, don't you?
What's the point of even being a family? As my frustrations with Toru and my mother-in-law piled up, time flew by, and before I knew it, Junya turned 6. Are the cookies good?
Yeah, I love these.
Junya, a healthy and happy little boy, absolutely loves his snacks. He'll be starting elementary school soon. Though he's a bit on the quiet side, he's growing up so sweetly and steadily. Seeing his innocent smile fills me with happiness. Toru and I were nothing more than husband and wife, in name only by then. For me, Junya had become my sole reason for living. Then one day, Toru says something completely out of line.
Junya is Koichi's kid, isn't he?
I couldn't comprehend what he was saying and just stood there, stunned. Ignoring my reaction, Toru kept accusing me in a sharp, cutting tone.
I've thought he didn't look like me since he was born, but he looks just like Koichi.
Where? I tried to respond, but my words were drowned out by Toru's tirade. Has Toru always been the kind of person to spout such irrational nonsense? I could only stare at him in disbelief.
If he were my kid, he wouldn't look like this. That pudgy build is just like Koichi's.
It's true, Junya is a little chubby, but it's completely normal for a child. Besides, claiming he's Koichi's son just because of his body type is absurd, even for a baseless accusation.
You cheated on me. We're getting a divorce.
As Toru spat those words, his mother, who had been silent until then, chimed in.
You're trash. Get out of here.
I had no words left. Accused of something ridiculous, I realized there was no point in trying to explain my side. There's no reasoning with these people. Taking Junya in a single suitcase, I left the house. With both of my parents gone, I had nowhere to go. Still, I couldn't bear to spend another second in that house. Who can I turn to now? I thought of reaching out to someone, but immediately remembered Toru's accusations. I guess I can't rely on Koichi or Haruna either. While I was wondering what to do, my phone suddenly rang.
Yomeko, are you okay?
Apparently, Toru had made the same accusations against me to Koichi. Of course, neither Koichi nor Haruna paid any attention to such baseless nonsense, but they reached out, worried after hearing I'd left home.
Haruna's worried about you too.
Reading that message brought tears to my eyes. Even though I knew the accusations were baseless, the constant verbal abuse had left me deeply hurt. 10 years had passed since that day when I was unfairly thrown out of my home. During that time, a lot had happened, but Koichi and Haruna were always there, genuinely supporting me and Junya. And most importantly, Junya, now a high schooler, had become my greatest source of strength and joy.
What about the cake?
Haruna baked it for you.
Yes, Haruna's homemade cake.
She went all out since it's your birthday.
Oh, I can't wait.
While Junya and I were out shopping for his birthday party, a familiar figure approached us.
Finally found you.
It was Toru, my ex-husband, and standing beside him was his mother, Michie. Looking at Junya, Toru grinned widely.
As expected of my son, you've grown into a handsome guy.
He quickened his pace, coming right up to us. Why now? Before I could even think further, Toru began explaining.
A debut, huh? That's amazing.
Ah, so that's what this is about, I realized immediately. This has nothing to do with either of you. My voice came out colder than I expected. But Toru didn't seem bothered by it.
Junya's success is thanks to inheriting my blood, isn't it?
Hearing Toru act as though the events of 10 years ago had never happened, I shot him a disbelieving look. That's right. After all, Junya looks so much like Toru. He really is your son. Michie chimed in, tears streaming down her face. What kind of ridiculous charade is this? I thought, staring at them both with a blank expression. It's true that Junya, now in high school, does resemble Toru. His chubby frame from childhood disappeared after he started taking dance lessons in elementary school, and he's been fit ever since. In middle school, he was scouted by an agency and began taking lessons in both dance and singing. From that point, his transformation into a stunning young man was undeniable, not just a parent's bias. As proof, last year he made his debut in the entertainment industry. Now he's a rising star as a member of a dance and vocal unit that's capturing everyone's attention. It was clear Toru had only decided to play the proud father now because of Junya's success. I couldn't even muster a sigh at Toru's shallowness. When I ignored them and tried to walk away, Toru and Michie clung to me.
What's wrong with coming to see my son?
That's right. It's my natural right as a grandmother to see my grandson.
With their unwavering arrogance, I replied sarcastically. Oh, and who was it that once claimed Junya wasn't their son? That finally shut them both up, their discomfort evident.
I've been searching for you all this time.
Toru now tried to play the sympathy card, his voice trembling. Because he's famous now, right? I cut him off coldly. Then he fired back with,
It's thanks to my superior genes that he became famous.
He came up with a ridiculous theory. I couldn't help but exchange a glance with Junya. Just when I thought I couldn't be more stunned by Toru's nonsense, I mentally corrected myself. Toru's delusions are like a bottomless pit. That's what it says. I'd had enough and was about to leave with Junya when Toru, still refusing to give up, said,
Junya's only a celebrity because he grew up looking like me.
10 years ago, Toru was the one who declared Junya wasn't his son and cast us aside. Now he had the audacity to claim my genes did this? A deep anger started to boil within me. Then finally, Toru said something that pushed me to the edge.
So, hand over Junya's earnings. Are you kidding me?
Before I could say anything, Junya, who had been silently observing, exploded.
You abandoned me and Mom, kicked us out with nothing, and now you want to be my father? Oh, don't make me laugh. You have no idea how much Mom struggled because of you. Ignoring us for 10 years and only crawling back now that I'm famous? Seriously, how pathetic can you get?
Junya's fury didn't stop there.
Superior genes? You think I became a celebrity thanks to you? How can you say something so shameless? I got to where I am through my own hard work. You had nothing to do with it. Not even a little. Don't insult me. Junya. Don't you dare say my name so casually. We're strangers now.
That's right, we're strangers now. I spoke to Toru as calmly and indifferently as I could, even smiling as I continued. You were so quick to decide that Junya was Koichi's child, but you refused a DNA test, didn't you? Why was that? Toru's face paled slightly. I went on without hesitation. And despite all the fuss you made about infidelity, you never demanded alimony. Why is that, I wonder? I flashed Toru a radiant smile.
I didn't ask for alimony because I wanted to show you mercy.
Toru's eyes darted nervously as he spoke. You never listened to anything I had to say, yet you think that was mercy? Are you sure you didn't get that mixed up? I couldn't hold it in anymore and burst out laughing. Desperately trying to justify himself, Toru kept pleading.
I really wanted to believe you. I was just scared of what a DNA test would confirm.
And he started crying, but his shallow excuses meant nothing to me. The one who was unfaithful wasn't me. It was you.
What?
You didn't think I knew? Too bad for you, I knew everything. I smiled at him and Toru crumpled with a look of utter despair. Oh, sorry. It wasn't infidelity, was it? Just a one-sided delusion. I chuckled mockingly and Toru's face turned bright red. Was it shame? Anger? Maybe both. But he had no words to fire back at me. 10 years ago, Toru thought he'd executed his plan perfectly, kicking me out so he could marry his affair partner. But the other woman never had any romantic feelings for him. When Toru wouldn't stop pestering her, she ended up filing stalking charges. He had to pay a massive settlement. With his savings drained, life became difficult, and that's when he heard about Junya and decided to latch onto us again. His plans hadn't worked out, though. Now, Toru lives alone in a cheap apartment. No money, no friends, no love, no hope. All that awaits him is a future of loneliness.
Junya's already 16, huh? Time flies.
He's grown up so well, thanks to Koichi and Haruna's constant support.
It's because you've raised him so well, Tomoko.
And look at him, such a handsome guy. I hope our kid turns out like that.
Wait, our kid? You mean... After 10 years, Koichi and Haruna had finally been blessed with a child. It was a wonderful surprise. This time, it's my turn to support the two of you. Our future, filled with the anticipation of new life, shines brightly ahead.